we've had interviews before in the past with MS-13. We've extensively gone through it for several other people, so we understand the origins of it, how it started, kind of from LA, also deporting some of them down to El Salvador and causing the issues there. It was a big issue for me growing up as a kid, knowing that MS-13 was around. They were causing a lot of fear in the area at times. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know that those are the dudes who do really nasty stuff. To further on, as I learned more about the immigration side and how we were deporting some to MS-13 down to El Salvador and causing commotion there and the history there, it's like, man, these guys spread like wildfire and they kind of blew up out of nowhere from when I grew up. Now we're dealing with a new threat, TDA, Tren de Aragua. It's starting to feel very similar. I'm curious to know your experience with MS-13 and what you see right now with TDA. Does it feel very familiar, and are you very fearful and worried about what this looks like in the future?
I'm incredibly fearful about what the future holds for this country when it comes to TDA. So Tren de Aragua is originated from Venezuela. A lot of the Venezuelan government, President Maduro and all his administration, they support TDA and their movement across the South America and Central America, Mexico, and then into the United States. They want to cause havoc. They want to create the disruption that's all occurring. But TDA is fairly new to the United States. They're not new to Chile, Peru, Colombia. They're not new down there. This has been an ongoing threat and scourge of criminal activity, especially in Chile. That's where I'm from. My family's from Chile. My father's from Argentina, and I've spoken with Chilean law enforcement, and they have been combating this exactly what we've got going on here in this country. The hotel in Aurora, the houses of prostitution in Texas, the criminal activity in New York City, Times Square. All of this has been occurring for years in Chile. And the reason why it's happening is because in Chile, the TDA members moved south from Venezuela into Peru, into Chile, and they were conducting their criminal activity. And then once the authorities in each one of these countries got wind of them, got their name, got their ID and charges, TDA would pick them up and moved them north through Mexico into the United States. So here, what we're getting now are experienced, transnational criminal organization members, TCO members, that have already earned their bucks, have already cut their teeth on other victims down in South America. Now, I am very, very much a way of calling this a gang, because they are transnational criminal organization. They work to move forward their organization, and they are transnational. They worked across the continents. They're communicating. They're using high-tech communication. There are a lot of people out there that will say that TDA is not sophisticated. That's furthest from the truth. They're sophisticated. They're utilizing crypto. They're utilizing money laundering to further their cause. But what surprises me is this. Last year, right at the end of my career, I attended a conference in South America. There were almost representatives from every country. I represented the United States and the FBI, and I was down there to understand this new group called Tren de Aragua. At this conference, they were telling us that, yes, TDA had moved into southern Texas and southern Florida. That was it. That was spring of 2023. The fact that we now have probably 3,000 to 5,000 members of TDA here in the United States doesn't happen naturally, doesn't happen. And something happened, and it was the open border. The number of migrants that were coming across the border and in there were, active TDA members. These members of the Tren de Aragua are trained, hardened warriors. They're trained by Venezuelan military. Why? Because Maduro wants good fighters out there. And that's why, President-elect Trump is saying that the prisons are empty, because Maduro is emptying the prisons and pushing them forward. And Tren de Aragua is bringing a lot of these individuals to the border for them to cross in the United States. TDA has moved across this country to different communities, Venezuelan communities. I know for a fact that they are up here in Bozeman, Montana. There's a Venezuelan community here, Venezuelan, Hondurans, and Mexicans in Bozeman. The reason why they're here is doing construction. And let me be clear on this. You've got all the migrants that are coming across the border. A vast majority, for me, it's 90% of the people that are coming across the border are good people just looking for a better opportunity. For me, it's the 10% rule. There are 10% of these migrants crossing are here for other nefarious reasons, whether it be gang members, terrorist organizations, or other criminal entities coming into the United States to take advantage of us. TDA are amongst those. So I believe at this time there's somewhere in the 3,000 to 5,000. That does not include all the younger ones or the other recruits that they're recruiting. So TDA member may be in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. One member may be there, but he may recruit 12, a dozen 13-year-olds to go out into Times Square, do pickpocketing, and they're 13 years old. They're not going to get charged by the DA for robbery, theft, or anything along those lines. So they're able to return back to the Roosevelt Hotel. But that's going on in communities all across this country. So TDA really is becoming a big threat to this country. And their criminal activity is transnational. I know for a fact that there were kidnappings in South America that the ransom is being collected here in the United States. So there's an individual is being kidnapped down there, but there's ransom being collected by TDA members here in the United States. So there's definite communication, there's definite money laundering, there's weapons, sex trafficking, drugs. TDA took the model that you just referenced of MS-13, figured out what they did wrong, what they did right, and then improved on it. So that's why I think it's a danger. And this is not just merely a street gang of how MS-13 started, just being music, loving music and being they're supportive for one another in the prisons. That's how a gang started. This is different. This is a criminal organization that also, let's be very clear, does the bidding of Nicolas Maduro when he wants to. He will task TDA to conduct an assassination in Chile. They did it last year. They assassinated a lieutenant for the Venezuelan army who was a dissident. They kidnapped him, tortured him, killed him. And that was a message from Maduro to those who oppose him. So it's definitely a threat, and we need to be careful.
Yeah, you say that you've heard that they're in Bozeman. I know that they're here in Dallas. We've seen them in El Paso. We've seen them across the nation. How are they able to spread so fast?
I think it's just amongst the Venezuelan community. They're able to blend in. How do, the Border Patrol, your counterparts, your CBP, ERO, how do they know when an individual is encountered? They don't know that it's a TDA member. All they know is they're aware, so they're approaching the border. Everybody knows the system. Everybody knows how it works. Come up to the border, you get printed if there's an encounter, then you get photographed, printed, and then where are you heading? And then you get an NTA, notice to appear, which at this point is 9 to 10 years away. So you're getting an NTA and you're saying, well, I'm going to go to New Jersey. Okay, well, there's no checking to go to New Jersey, but you know where the Venezuelan communities are. They know where it is. So they're moving in there and they're embedding themselves.